Leave our village, Nnenna. Leave our village, you cursed girl, and never return. The angry youths shouted, chasing Nnenna out of the village. May the curse you brought to our land go with you, and remain with you as you leave, they shouted behind her. Some days ago. Nnenna stood up abruptly from the wooden stool, eyes focused on the small mud house like a shrine. It's calling me, she whispered. Her eyes had already turned white, and she started walking slowly towards the hut. Nnenna, what is wrong with you? Her younger sister, Kelechi, asked, still sitting down and chewing on the groundnut their mother had given them earlier. You have started this your prank again. You had better sit down, else I'll finish this groundnut without keeping anything for you, Kelechi said again, focused on what she was eating. But Nnenna kept going, taking one step at a time like one who has been summoned and controlled. It's calling me, I need to answer, she kept whispering. Kelechi looked up and saw that Nnenna wasn't joking this time. She quickly rushed towards her sister and tried to hold her, but something unexpected happened. Chimu! Kelechi shouted loudly as the force from Nnenna's body pushed her down. Her cry attracted their father, who was resting at the back of the house, and their mother, who was busy arranging some wood in the kitchen. They rushed out to where Kelechi was, still lying on the ground in pain, holding her waist. What happened? Their father asked. It's Nnenna, she said, pointing at Nnenna, who was still walking towards the old mud house. On seeing their daughter Nnenna, their father rushed back into the house and quickly ran out holding a native white chalk. He ran straight towards Nnenna and started sprinkling the chalk all over her body and making some incantations. Nnenna froze in a spot, and before they knew it, she fell to the ground unconscious. She was taken inside the house and laid on the wooden bed. Papa, what is wrong with my sister? Why did she start behaving strangely all of a sudden? Kelechi asked, confused, as they sat in front of the hut. Their father sighed, facing down with his hands on his waist. I thought this would never happen to me. I thought I would escape it if I stopped being traditional and changed to Christianity. I never knew I would still have to fight it, he said with regret. Kelechi looked up at her father and slowly stood up from the wooden stool. She turned the other way to look at her mother and saw her shaking her head. She became even more confused about her parents. Papa, what do you mean by what you just said? What tradition are you talking about? It's a long story, Kelechi. I'll tell you about it when your sister wakes up. For now, you and your mother should keep an eye on Nnenna in case she wakes up, he said and turned to his wife. I need to go and see Udoka. I need some clarification from him, he said and left the compound in a hurry. Kelechi watched in dismay as her father left the compound in a hurry. Confused, she turned to her mother. Mama, what is wrong with my sister, and why did Papa say she needs clarification from Uncle Udoka? What does it mean? She asked inquisitively. Her mother, who seemed to know what was happening, held her hand. Your father will explain better when he returns, she said. I need to prepare something for your sister to eat when she wakes up. Please stay here and keep an eye on her. Kelechi opened her mouth to speak, but before she could, her mother walked away, leaving her standing outside in front of the door. She looked around, confused, and gently pushed open the door to the room where Nnenna was. She walked slowly towards her sister and quietly sat down beside her. What is happening to you, Nnenna? What's always dragging you to Grandpa's shrine? She questioned softly, holding her sister's hand. I heard her voice, Nnenna whispered softly. Her voice sounded very weak. Kelechi quickly crouched beside the bed, happy that her sister was awake. What voice, and what was she saying? She asked impatiently. She was asking me to come, taking control of my body, Nnenna replied. I couldn't stop myself from moving. That's strange, Kelechi said confused. What could that be? She wondered. Hold on, let me inform Mama that you're awake, she said and walked out fast. Soon she came back with her mother. Nnenna, my precious daughter, thank God you're awake, her mother said as she hurried to her side. Mama, why does this thing keep happening to me? Why do I keep hearing her voice in my head? Nnenna asked tiredly. Nnenna, your father will explain better when he gets back, her mother said. You need to rest now. I'm preparing your favorite, and it will soon be ready, her mother said, smiling as she walked out of the room, avoiding more questions from her daughters. A few hours later, it was already evening. The two sisters and their mother were sitting outside the house chit-chatting when their father walked in. "Welcome, Papa," Nnenna and Kelechi chorused. "Welcome, my husband," their mother greeted and stood up from the stool. "How did it go?" she asked as Okafor, her husband, sat down. He sighed. "Please get me my food, I'm hungry," he said. His wife quickly rushed to the kitchen to get his food, while Kelechi assisted. "Nnenna, how are you feeling?" he asked, looking at his daughter. Nnenna, who was closer to her father, could see through his eyes that all wasn't well with him. She saw sadness and pain in his eyes, and instead of answering his question, she asked, "Papa, what did Uncle Udoka say? What did he tell you was wrong with me?" Surprised at his daughter's question, he quickly feigned a smile. "Nothing, my daughter, he said you will be fine," he said. Kelechi and her mother came in with their food and set it on the wooden table in front of them. He ate quietly, absent-mindedly, like one whose mind was far away and somewhere else entirely. "Papa," Kelechi called out, "is anything the matter? What are you thinking?" she asked. "Nothing," he said simply, and continued eating. "Papa, we know you're worried by the look on your face and the way you're eating your meal. Please tell us what the problem is." Nnenna spoke up. Their mother was quiet because she already knew what the problem was. She didn't need to hear her husband speak to know what it was. Okafor cleared his throat, looked at his wife and daughters, then back to his food. "There's nothing we can do to stop it," he said finally. His wife stretched her hand and placed it on his thigh comfortingly. "So be it," she whispered after a heavy sigh. "What are you talking about?" Kelechi asked, looking around at everyone, feeling lost. Okafor raised his head, turned to his daughters, and looked directly at Nnenna. "It's time you knew." "Know what, Papa?" Kelechi had become impatient. "The truth. About your sister and the recent occurrence." Her mother replied. "What truth are you talking about?" Kelechi demanded while Nnenna sat quietly beside her. "The truth about the birth of Nnenna, your sister." Okafor answered calmly, and everywhere became quiet. Okafor heaved a heavy sigh and started. "It all started the day my father, your grandfather, sat inside his little hut, where he usually paid homages to the gods of the land. He was the high priest of our village. While he was performing those rites, a lady rushed into our compound and went straight to the hut before we could stop her. She stood outside facing the hut, crying. It was obvious she was pregnant, and in so much pain, like she was in labor. I stood at a corner watching as she cried out loud, calling the gods of our land, asking them to avenge her and give her justice. She lay on the floor in front of the shrine and gave birth to her child. The cry of the baby filled the air. It was as if the gods were waiting for her arrival. Finally, my father, who had been inside the shrine listening to her cries, came out. He looked at the woman who had just given birth, struggling to hold her child. He quickly picked up the child and gave her to her mother. The woman laughed and asked my father to call her Nnenna. The woman then lifted the baby, facing the shrine, and cursed the land for destroying her family, and that only her daughter could break the curse when she turned 20. Okafor paused and looked directly at Nnenna, who was already in tears. She died immediately after the curse, but something that has never happened in our land happened that very day. "What happened, Papa?" Kelechi asked. "Everywhere became dark, and it started raining heavily, even though we were in the dry season. The whole village was surprised. We all thought it was a blessing, but we were wrong. That was the last time we experienced a proper rain." "So, what happened after the rain?" Kelechi asked again. "The rain lasted for about an hour before it stopped. After that, my father consulted the gods, and he was instructed on what to do before the woman was buried. After that, my father gave me the responsibility of taking care of Nnenna because I had just gotten married and was yet to have a child. My wife and I agreed to take care of the child like our own, and the next year, the gods blessed us with another child, who is you, Kelechi. So the reason we experience a little shower of rain once a year is because of the curse?" Kelechi asked. "Yes. And the shower is just to wet the ground a bit. Nobody in this village can boast of a cup of rainwater. We have been experiencing famine ever since our crops have been nothing compared to how it was before everything happened, Okafor said. Nnenna was quietly shedding tears all through as she listened. And also, finding out she wasn't their biological daughter was another pain altogether. Nnenna, her mother called softly, holding her hands in hers. You've always been my child from the moment I accepted to take care of you. Nothing will ever change that, her mother said, smiling and wiping the tears from Nnenna's eyes. Why didn't you say anything since? Why? Nnenna asked, sobbing into her mother's arms. I'm so sorry, dear, we couldn't do that. We thought there was no need for that, her mother said, comforting her. Kelechi looked at Nnenna and smiled. You'll always be my elder sister for as long as I live. This changes nothing at all. My concern right now is you, she said, and turned to her father. So, Papa, why does she keep hearing a voice, calling her and dragging her towards the shrine? Kelechi asked. That's because it's almost time, her father replied calmly. Time for what? Nnenna asked finally. You'll be 20 in a few days, and it has been foretold that the Ulamiri will manifest on that day, breaking the course by bringing down the rain and setting the village free, her father explained. Confused, Nnenna asked again. What does that have to do with me? That's because you're the Ulamiri, the chosen one, the one who will bless our land and free us from the curse. Okafor, her father said, looking into her eyes. That's the reason you've been hearing the voice. That's the voice of the goddess of rain. What? Nnenna shouted. You mean I'm the Ulamiri the villagers have been talking about? She asked again. Shaking his head, her father replied. Yes, but it's only a handful of us who know you're the one. Initially, I couldn't bring myself to accept it because I didn't want it, but I guess tradition must be fulfilled. Nnenna stood up slowly, tears dropping from her eyes as she looked up at the sky. Why me? Why does it have to be me? She questioned no one in particular as she sobbed uncontrollably in her sister's arms. The next day, Nnenna and Kelechi took their clay pots to the river to fetch water. When they arrived at the river, they met other maidens there. Some of the maidens were leaving the river carrying their clay pots on their head. Some were inside the river still fetching water, while some were busy washing their wrappers at the side of the river. Nnenna and Kelechi, chit-chatting and laughing, walked past the maidens and went straight into the river to fetch water, but Kelechi stopped in her tracks and turned back swiftly. Chioma, did I just hear you say something stupid about my sister? She asked, already boiling with anger, because she knew how troublesome Chioma could be, and she was ready to face her. In fact, she has been looking for an opportunity like this to deal with Chioma and make her stop taunting Nnenna for good. And so, what if I said something about her? Chioma said, standing face to face with Kelechi. Kelechi, please, let's go, ignore her, please, Nnenna said calmly, holding her sister by the hand. See how she's talking like a proper maiden. We all know what you are, pretender, Chioma said, eyeing Nnenna like she's irritating her. What do you mean by that? And how am I a pretender? Nnenna asked, surprised at Chioma's words. Chioma laughed, clapping her hands together. You think we don't know that you're the cause of what is happening in this village? Cursed child. Kelechi couldn't take it anymore. She pounced on Chioma and both of them fell on the ground fighting. Nnenna tried her best to separate them but couldn't, so she shouted, attracting some other young men who were close by. They were able to separate Kelechi from Chioma, who was crying bitterly from the beating she had received. My father must hear this, and he will deal with you, Chioma cried out as she carried her pot of water on her head and quickly ran out of the river, still crying. I also have a father who is ready to defend me, Kelechi shouted back as everyone left one after the other. Nnenna dragged her hand, pulling her towards the river. Let's go, warrior Kelechi, she said, and both of them laughed. Soon they were home helping their mother in the kitchen, while their father sat in his private hut drinking palm wine. Mama, what does it mean to be the Ulamiri? Nnenna asked suddenly. Her mother looked at her and sighed. Why do you ask? Nnenna adjusted on the small stool she was sitting on. Is it true that it's a curse being the Ulamiri? No, it's not a curse. Where did you hear that from? Who told you? her mother demanded, dropping what she was holding on the ground. Whoever the gods chose to be their Ulamiri is blessed. She enjoys unmerited favors from the gods and the entire village at large. She becomes the envy of other maidens because even the king and elders respect and honor her. So whoever said being the Ulamiri is a curse is only being jealous, her mother explained. Mama, don't mind her, Kelechi said, walking into the kitchen carrying firewood in both hands. She's letting whatever Chioma said get to her, she said, and dropped the firewood. Have you forgotten that she's the village rumor monger? You should have allowed me to beat her very well. Oh, you mean she's worried because of Chioma? Her mother gave a silent laugh. I thought it was some else. Please finish up with what you're doing. They all laughed and continued with what they were doing. A few days later, while they were sitting outside in front of their house in the evening, Nnenna heard someone call her name. She looked behind her but saw no one. Did you hear someone call my name? She asked her sister. Kelechi looked at her with a raised brow. No, I didn't. Nnenna was sure she heard her name. She looked around to be sure they were alone and no one was playing tricks on her. What are you looking for? Kelechi asked. It's just the both of us that are here. Mama and Papa went out and have not yet returned. There's no one else around apart from both of us. Nnenna. She heard the voice again. She stood up, looking a bit upset. Who are you? And why do you keep calling me? Show yourself if you really want to talk to me, she shouted. Come to me, the voice said again. No, you come to me, Nnenna shouted, looking around while Kelechi watched, surprised and scared. Suddenly, Nnenna stretched like someone being possessed by an invisible force. She turned and squeezed her body, then suddenly she stopped. Eyes as white as snow, she started walking slowly out of the compound, straight to the river. Kelechi looked at her sister, scared and helpless. Nnenna, she called softly, eyes filled with tears. She rushed out of the compound to look for their parents. Nnenna kept walking like one who was being controlled by an invisible force, eyes white and wide open. She walked through the bush path, silently and cautiously. Meanwhile, Kelechi had found their parents and was already home with them. They searched everywhere in the house but couldn't find Nnenna. Her mother started crying with her hands on her head. Nnenna, where are you? She shouted, sobbing. A young man ran into their compound, panting and holding his chest. Na Kelechi, I saw your daughter, Nnenna, walking towards the stream. I called her repeatedly, but she didn't answer me. She looked like she had been possessed, he said between his teeth. Her father rushed in immediately and came out. He ran as fast as he could towards the river, holding the white substance in his hand, while the young man, known as Uche, followed behind him. Kelechi and her mother stayed back at home because it was forbidden for women to go to the river once it was already getting dark. Nnenna, Nnenna, her father cried out as he ran towards the river, his heart heavy as he prayed he would find her before she got to the river. Nnenna, Nnenna. He and Uche kept shouting her name as they kept running down the path that led to the river. Meanwhile, Nnenna was already close to the river. The river stood still and quiet. It wasn't flowing like it used to, but there was something or something standing on the water. It had the form of a human, but it looked strange. Nnenna could feel there was something about it that didn't seem right. She could tell that even though her body was possessed, she was still in control of her mind. And only she could see it. She tried to fight it from dragging her into the river. Her father and Uche finally saw her standing at the bank of the river dragging her body. They ran fast and caught up with her. Uche wanted to touch her. Don't touch her, her father shouted, saving Uche from harm. He opened his palm, exposing a white substance, and started chanting some incantation, and then he started spraying the white substance all over her body. Nnenna screamed and fell on the ground unconscious. Her father looked at the river and also made some incantations. He poured the remaining white substance into the river, and the river began to flow immediately after the substance touched it. Please help me, let's carry her back to the house, her father said to Uche. Uche lifted her easily into his arms because he was strong and well-built. He helped carry her till they got home before he lay her down. Soon they sat outside the house, and Uche stood looking worried and confused. "What happened to Nnenna?" he asked, looking at Okafor, Nnenna's father. "It's a long story," her father said, shaking his head. "It's not something I'm ready to explain to you now." Uche understood and didn't ask further. He stayed for more minutes and decided to leave. "I'll come around tomorrow to check on Nnenna," he said before saying goodnight to them and walking away. "What exactly happened?" Okafor asked his daughter, Kelechi. "Papa, we were just sitting down talking after we had finished with our chores for the day. Suddenly, Nnenna started asking me if I had heard someone calling her name. And then she started calling out to someone or something I couldn't see, saying she would go, but rather it should come to her. Suddenly, Nnenna transformed into what you later saw," Kelechi explained with a hint of fear in her voice. Her father sighed, looking worried. "My husband, this is the first time it happened like this. What could this mean?" His wife asked, concerned. "I was warned it would happen, but I never imagined it to be so soon," he said. "What do you mean, Papa?" Kelechi asked. "I was warned to monitor her and to never leave her alone. Someone must always be with her wherever she goes." "And why is that?" Kelechi asked again, inquisitively. "That's because Nnenna hasn't gotten her full powers and is still fragile. So, many evil spirits, especially the ones who are enemies of our forefathers, they would want to take advantage of her and possess her body to cause more harm than good to our land." He took a deep breath and looked at his wife and daughter. "But she can fight or resist them with her mind if she's strong enough." "How?" his wife asked. "Those spirits can only take control of her body, not her mind," he said. "I just hope I got to her early, else may the gods help us." Kelechi got scared at her father's last statement and held her mother's arms. "Mama, can I sleep in your hut for the night? I'm scared already." "No, Kelechi, we will both sleep in the same hut with Nnenna. We can't leave her there alone. She needs us," her mother said. "Your mother is right, Kelechi. Nnenna needs us to be here for her now more than ever," her father said. "Your mother will join you to sleep in your hut tonight, that way you won't be scared anymore." That night, after they had gone into their huts, Kelechi couldn't sleep. She was just lying down on the mat, but her eyes were wide open and sleep had eluded her. She watched as her mother slept peacefully like nothing was happening. And then she turned to look at Nnenna, who was still unconscious. She stretched her shaky hands slowly and touched her sister. "I hope you're still there, sister. Please fight whatever it is that's fighting against you and make sure you win. Don't let them take over your body, fight them," Kelechi said, holding her sister's hand. Suddenly, there was a loud cry of a bird. It didn't sound like the normal birds that they all knew, nor did it sound like the night owls. This one was strange. The bird's cry was so loud and terrifying that it shivered down Kelechi's spine. Her mother jolted up from her sleep. She also heard the cry of the bird. "What was that?" she asked, sitting up. "I don't know, Mama, but I guess it's a bird. Not just any bird, but a very big bird." "I'm so scared, Mama," Kelechi said, shivering, holding her mother. The big bird cried out so loud again, like it was calling out for someone or something. All of a sudden, Nnenna started vibrating on her bed, like she was convulsing, and she almost fell off. Her mother quickly rushed to her side and held her shoulders down while Kelechi held her legs. "Nay, help!" her mother shouted at the top of her voice, crying as she struggles with Nnenna, who was still vibrating. The big bird cried loudly again, and this time they heard a loud noise on the roof, like someone or something was walking on it with great strides. Kelechi quickly released her grip on Nnenna's leg and crawled up to her mother, who was also visibly shaking. "Mama, what are we going to do now? Papa is not answering us," Kelechi cried out, her voice shaking and laced with fear. Soon they heard someone chanting. It was their father. He was seriously chanting an incantation loudly. They could hear him still inside his hut. The big bird gave another horrifying cry and flew away, flapping its large wings. After making sure the bird had gone, their father rushed out of his hut to where his family was. "Are you people all right?" he asked, breathing hard. He looked at Nnenna, who had stopped vibrating, and asked, "How is she?" She started shaking the moment we heard the cry of a bird, and we had to hold her down to prevent her from falling," his wife answered. "Nay, what was that?" she asked, looking scared and sweaty. "It's not something we can discuss now. But know this. That wasn't just a bird, it was something more, and it came for Nnenna. I just pray she wakes up in the morning. Otherwise, there will be a serious problem in the land. Papa, please stay here with us. I'm so scared." "Don't leave us here alone," Kelechi cried. Her father sighed, looking around the room. "All right, I'll stay here with you people till morning," he said, and sat down on a small wooden chair. They stayed together in the hut till morning. They were still sleeping when Nnenna woke up. She opened her eyes while still lying on the bed and looked around. She was surprised to see her parents in her room. Her father was sleeping, sitting on the wooden chair, while her mother and sister slept on the mat. She stood up slowly from the bed and tapped her sister's hand. "Kelechi, wake up." Kelechi stretched and turned still sleepy. "Kelechi, please wake up," Nnenna said, tapping her sister again. Kelechi blinked her eyes and finally woke up. "Nnenna," she called out softly with a bit cracked voice. "You're awake, thank the gods," she said, and went ahead to wake their parents. "Nnenna, thank the gods you're awake," her father said the moment he opened his eyes and saw Nnenna sitting up. "What happened, Papa? And why are you and Mama sleeping in our room?" she asked, confused. "You mean you can't know how you got here?" Kelechi asked after yawning. "No. All I can remember was I was sitting outside with Kelechi, we were chatting and—" She paused and looked at her parents. "And what?" her father asked. "I heard a strange voice, calling my name and asking me to come. It wasn't the same voice as the one I heard earlier. There was something strange about it." She paused again, thinking, trying to remember. "That's all I can remember," she said. You mean you can't remember walking towards the river? And even when Uche carried you back to the house?" her father asked. "Uche? How? And when?" Nnenna asked, feeling more confused. "I thank the gods we got to you on time, otherwise I don't know what would have happened," her father said and stood up. "We have a lot of things to do before the day you turn 20, otherwise I might not be able to protect you properly." They all left the room and went about their day. Meanwhile, Chioma, who had been jealous of Nnenna, had gathered some of her friends under an orange tree close to her house. "My dear friends, the most beautiful and elegant maidens of our land, I greet you all," she said, smiling. "We greet you too," they all replied, giggling. "Thank you, beautiful maidens. Thank you also for answering my call. As you all know, our land has been under a curse, one which was caused by someone we all know," Chioma said loudly. "What do you mean, Chioma?" one of the maidens asked. Chioma laughed a bit and continued. "I mean, we all know the person who brought the curse on our beloved land." All the maidens started murmuring amongst themselves. "What do you mean by you know the person? And if truly you do, mention the person's name, let's take action immediately," another maiden who was the closest to Chioma said loudly. "Yes, mention the name of the person," the rest of the maidens shouted. "Ha ha 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 ha." Chioma laughed, happy that her plan was taking shape. "I'll mention the name of the person, but first I want us to agree on something." "And what is that?" Maiden asked. "Good. I want us to agree that we will not let that person remain in this village. We must chase her out of our land whether the Igwe agrees or not," Chioma said with eyes wide open. "Yes," the maidens echoed loudly in agreement. "And we must not let anyone stand in the way of saving our land from such an evil person," Chioma shouted, raising up her hand, happy that her plan was working. "No one can stand in our way, we must free our land," they all shouted in chorus. "Good, I love this spirit. The person who's responsible for the suffering of our dear beloved land is none other than Nnenna, Motsi Okafor's daughter," Chioma announced, and everywhere became quiet for a moment. "What? You mean Nnenna, the quiet and easygoing maiden, is responsible for the curse we are suffering?" One of the maids asked to be sure she heard clearly, while the others listened to confirm it. "Yes, you heard me right, it's Nnenna, and I have proof," Chioma replied. The other day, I overheard her father discussing with Matsi Udoka about how her late mother cursed the land, after giving birth to her in front of the shrine, saying that until Nnenna gets to a certain age, the curse will be lifted. Are you serious? So Nnenna has been the reason this village has been in bondage for so many years. Who would have thought that a quiet and beautiful maiden like her would carry such a curse around? All the maidens lamented. Let's go and get that cursed girl, she must leave this village for good, Chioma shouted, raising her hand as she led the way to Matsi Okafor's house. Thank you for watching. The next part will be posted shortly. I hope you enjoyed the story. Please drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. And please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.